Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the carnival. It is Finargle, or Chris, back with another video. This is actually a video in reference to Fallout 4 Horizon, the mod itself. I wanted to do a video kind of doing a deep dive into Horizon itself and explain, the different aspects of the mod, what you can do, what's compatible, what's really going on, because I started playing it and I was interested in it, but I didn't know anything about it, and that kind of was difficult at first. I understand some people say, well, learning is doing, blah, 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 and I completely agree with that. Learning by doing is definitely much easier, but this is just going to be a video out there to help for those that may be new to Fallout 4 modding, or at least new to Horizon, so that we can kind of talk about what Horizon does. Now, I'm just going to do the basic breakdown for you, down a list about what's happening here and what's really going on. Now, first things first, okay, so what Horizon is a survival mod for Fallout 4. What that means is it's using the survival difficulty. Now, you don't have to play survival difficulty on the actual mod menu. That's one of the things that the mod author states when you install it. You don't have to play survival. It's just best with survival. I personally, I was a little hesitant at first to run it with survival because I hadn't really done much survival playing, mainly because I like the ability to fast travel. Not all the time. I mean, I completely understand. Like, I've been playing other games like 76 where there is fast travel, but it costs money, so you don't do it as often so that you can save your caps. But in this, you actually do get fast travel. We'll get to that. We will. When we start talking about the benches. Well, actually, I have a notepad in front of me, and in said notepad, I'm basically just writing down different things that we need to talk about. First off, there's going to be probably some basic questions. You're probably wondering, what are these? Well, they're an asset that was created for the mod itself. They're pinball machines, but they're pinball machines based on the magazines you've gotten. They provide happiness to your settlement. I'm actually currently in Home Plate. Home Plate is a newly reworked settlement from the mod author. I believe his name is Zawanul, if I'm pronouncing that right. We're just going to call him Z from now on. So if you hear me say the word Z, I'm referring to the mod author. But anyway, he added those in here, and he turned Home Plate into its own new settlement. As you can see, I have a 97 happiness. So my people here are very happy. They've got their food. I even made a fully functional shitter. This is a water pump. Produces 50 water, and that's a water purifier. There's a shop here. I've got a lounge zone. There's even like this little mini vault. Of course, I'm calling mine Vault Fuck Off, but it's Vault 86. It's not actually a vault in the sense of a vault. Think of it like the entryway to a vault. Like, you could totally turn this into like a bedroom for yourself. Pretty dope. But yeah, it's not an actual vault in that sense. It's just one room. Then you've got these back areas. One of the assets he added in that was really cool to increase happiness is a bowling alley. This gives a lot of happiness. There's slot machines that just produce happiness. Different things, like I have McCready here working at a bar, and that produces happiness. There's different job stations. We're going to get into all this stuff and kind of break it down as we do it. This is just a basic tour, I guess, of the settlement itself. I built my own. There's like a little cubby hole here, so I actually built my own bedroom back here, just for the hell of it. Even got a legendary weapon there. One of the things he did do is he turned off a lot of the legendary weapons, but we'll get into that first and foremost when we start talking about guns, because there's a huge change to guns. The named weapons that you do find throughout the Commonwealth, those still exist, okay? But your average legendary doesn't drop guns anymore, at least in early levels. Now, this character is, well, actually, he's got to level up. He's level 21, which, as you see, he's got quite a few perks for level 21 because of this right here. When you reach level 5, you unlock something called the van system. And every 5 levels up until, I guess, what, 40, you get a 5 perk points every 5 levels from this, which is very cool. Now, actually, my character has no point. Oh, that's right. I think I was gonna eventually make him a sniper, but I haven't quite gotten there yet. I mean, he has completely reworked the perk tree. Okay, so a lot of these, some of these are still the same, but they're not doing the same things. Like this is the science skill. Now it's giving you plus 40, like mine right now, it would give me, if I put a point there, it'd give me a plus 40 to science. Scrapper is giving me salvaging skill and metalworking skills. So skills are kind of a new thing in this mod. Instead of just being flat perks, the perks actually apply to your skills. So like this right here gives you tailoring skills, so you can alter your armor. This gives you a lock picking skill, and he even tells you you really only need to put 2 points in this skill to be able to pick your expert locks. As you use your skills, they also increase. So like as I throw a grenade, that's going to increase my explosive skill by a small amount. As I pick locks, that's going to increase my lock pick by a certain amount. Of course, you can still utilize dog meat and have Lone Wanderer. That's why I have a point in Lone Wanderer. I haven't put my next one in there yet. I put one in here too because you can now make guard dogs as part of your security, which is pretty cool. This is obviously super important because it's the same thing. The first one lets you build, you know, your settlements connections and things like that. So I would, if you ever play Horizon, I would seriously sit down and look at all these. I'm not going to go through every skill, guys. That would take an entire episode by itself, just going through every skill. That's way too much. I would honestly say if you're playing survival for the first time, put your first point in Hunter, because your first point allows you to get meat from animals. You can't get any actual edible meat until you have a point in Hunter, and put your next point in Survivalist. It's super important, okay, for those two early on. And then I would definitely say get one of these, Fortune Finder or Scrounger, for either more money or more caps or more ammo. Either way. I just took Idiot Savant because I figure why not. He actually really changed it. It's you randomly receive plus 50% experience from any action. It's pretty much exactly as it was. So yeah, it's not as good. It's not as good, but that's also because in survival, leveling is really slow. Or not, excuse me, not survival. Huh? In Horizon, leveling is extremely slow, and that's why when you hit those 5 brackets, everything kind of changes. So the main thing we want to talk about here as far as leveling is concerned is the reason that leveling is super slow and you probably won't reach super high levels in this is because survival has the level lists turned off, okay? So what the level lists are, for those that people that don't understand this, a level list is when you're playing Fallout 4 or you're playing Skyrim or you're playing really any Bethesda game for that matter, certain enemies and certain levels of enemies won't spawn until you're the appropriate level. So for example, like right here, Mirelurk Queen, a Mirelurk Hunter, and a Yao Guai. Now, other than the base Yao Guai that's actually only level 18, you may see those a little early on, but you're not going to see these, or at least the you know, albino versions or the alpha versions, until you're much higher level. Now, in this mod, that doesn't exist. In this mod, you can actually run into an Albino Rad Scorpion at level 1. Now, you really shouldn't be picking a fight with an Albino Rad Scorpion at level 1, but you can. And just like in survival mode, like base Fallout survival mode, there is one factor, and that factor is that you do increase damage, you take increased damage, and so do the enemies. So the enemies take increased damage, and they do increase damage. So basically, everybody's pretty much more like a glass cannon. Okay? I just thought this was cool to put my trophies here, but yeah, that's just part of my decorations. But like I said, the level lists are turned off, so you can also get much higher ranked guns earlier on in the game. Like this is actually a modded weapon, but still,
themselves a success until someone
this is actually a legendary version of a weapon. It's not like before where you actually see them, the silver submachine gun. This is from a bundle of tape. It's actually a Mosin, not a Mosin, excuse me, it's an M1A1. This is a homemade Gauss rifle. This is what we're going to talk about next in weapons, though. And since the level lists are turned off, you can pretty much get any weapon, just like playing any other mod. Like you can play Frost or anything like that. Certain weapons, like these are... This is a Righteous Authority. This is the named weapon that Dance gives you. It's fully functional. This was a fully functional weapon I found out in the wasteland. It's just a regular hunting rifle that I use 4570 on, and that's another thing we're going to get to too. This is the wasteland service rifle. It is lore friendly. I run all but one lore friendly weapon, and that's this, just because I love the way it sounds. This is the XM210 sniper rifle. I love the way it sounds. It's just mean. My character actually is a demolitionist, so I have the homemade 40mm grenade launcher, which was actually something that Z put in the mod for the grenade specialist. But anyway, like, as you get weapons, they'll actually have qualities. Now, you really can't see it here. Maybe we can see it in a shop. Let me pull up a shop. Trash can Carla. Maybe she's got something. Okay, so she's got a mop. Now, the mop is normally just a junk item, but in this game, the mop can actually be a weapon. As you see, it has 14 damage. It's a so it's a two-handed weapon, but it says it's ruined minus 100%, which means its quality is so bad that its damage is reduced by 100%. So it's actually one of the things that Z has incorporated into the mod is durability. Now, weapons don't degrade. From what I was reading and discovering, maybe in the next patch there's actually going to be weapon degradation, so as you use something it'll start to degrade and you can fix it. He hasn't quite incorporated that yet, but this is weapon degradation. That's literally what it is. Now if I go over to like Trash Can Carla's, she may not have one. That's fine. She doesn't have one, but sometimes you can get fully functional weapons from vendors and stuff like that. Like I've got, actually, see right here, this is an X24 laser pistol. It's fully functional. This is an N99, which is your base 10mm, but it uses 9mm JHPs, or jacketed hollow points, which is the weakest ammo in the game. And it's fully functional. It's not degraded. Some of this other stuff, yeah, your basic outfits now, they don't do anything. So like Reginald's suit in base game gives you +3 charisma. It's actually one of the best suits in the game because it gives you 3 charisma. In this, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't give you the bonus. The bonuses only come from actual equipment. He's also incorporated the AKWCR, the armor keyword patch. You don't need to install that mod because it's already built in. That's why I'm wearing the Minutemen's uniform with a backpack, with combat armor that's all deep-pocketed. That's why I have 900 carry capacity. Plus, there's also other things that can actually increase your carry capacity as well. But we're mainly talking about weapons and armor right now and how there's degradation. Now, your stuff won't degrade. Like this spatula, degradation of 5%. And so as you see, if things are degraded, they're pretty much worth nothing. Minus 16 caps because it's degraded. So, like, as opposed to the X24 is actually worth 66 caps. That's actually a good item to sell to a vendor. This is worth 45, also a good item to sell to a vendor. I save all my mines and bottle cap mines because I use them to kill bosses. The way I killed the Mirelurk Queen is I put down 7 bottle cap mines under spawn. She basically walked over all 7 of them at once. By the time she got at the beach, she had like a tenth of her health left, and I just sniped her a couple of times in the face. But anyway. So yeah, you'll have to deal with that, especially early on. You'll have to deal with it. You can use certain mods. There are plenty of weapon mods that are compatible with Horizon. Like right there, you see a 1911. I think this is Doom's. There's a guy named Doom Based or Doom something, and he makes really cool mods. And he made this 1911. That's lore friendly, minus the suppressor. Technically, that is lore friendly. Caravan Shotgun is obviously lore friendly because it was in New Vegas. This was in New Vegas. Crossbows were in Fallout 1 and 2, so technically those are lore friendly. Grenade launcher was actually in Fallout 1 and 2, and there also was the China Lake in New Vegas and the single shot grenade launcher in New Vegas, so those are lore friendly. Like I said, this is technically lore friendly because that service rifle was in New Vegas. Maybe not those mods, but you know, it was in there. This is just a hunting rifle. And the steel sword technically is lore friendly because Bethesda added it to the game. So that's my melee weapon. I mean, they gave away that free Skyrim shit. Now, same thing applies to armor. Like, I mean, like I said, when I play low friendly. Play however the fuck you want. If you want to put miniguns that shoot mini nukes or that shoot babies that are screaming that explode, do whatever you want. Don't let people judge you. So you have to consider when you're playing this game, though, when you get your equipment. Now, I am 21, almost 22, so all of my equipment is in good condition. So for the most part, I don't have to worry about stuff degrading. Now, when you start playing, that may be different. Also, from my previous video, if you haven't seen it, see-through scopes, guys. See-through scopes. You need to install it because it lets you do what I'm doing right now. This is an 8-power scope. This is a long scope for the rifle. It just, like, this is another see-through scope. They're all see-through scopes, guys. And why is that? Because I hate games where I go to ADS down a weapon and it loads in a different screen and it's just this big black screen. I mean, I would love to show you what I mean by the way that, you know, shooting is real is you technically, until you're actually looking down that scope, you keep both eyes open, and a true sniper doesn't actually close his non-dominant eye because he keeps it open and he's always scanning. But anyway.
All you gotta do is off.
See-through scopes. Definitely get that mod. It is compatible. Anyway, moving on. So we've talked about weapons and armor. They have degradation. You can wear all of the armor you want and things like that. Moving on to food. Now, food in base survival mode, will provide you with the benefits as long as you're not hungry, you're not thirsty, and you're not suffering ill effects. So, like if you're well fed, well hydrated, and you drink, I don't know, let's say. You won't see any of these other in the base game. A Nuka-Cola. A Nuka-Cola would give you AP, would give you rads, and I think they do different things. But actually, best food is the rad stat steak. I don't have any on me. There might be some in storage, but I doubt it. You want these, though. Oh my god, I need those. I don't think I have any rad stag steaks, but you can see from all this food, like crispy squirrel bits is in the base game and actually gives you health. This game, it says HP 0. Mirelurk cakes, those are in the base game. They still give you the breathe underwater, but is only if you're full. Noodle cups are actually some of the best food because for obvious reasons. Like here, ribeye steak. Ribeye steak in the base game gives you carry capacity. In Horizon, no matter what your health is at, or no matter what your hunger is at, no matter what your drink is at, you will never get the benefits, the major benefits of food. Food is literally just designed, for the most part, for healing. There are some foods that still provide a little bit, like that one gives me a little bit of AP, not much. There's different things, like you need purified water for like a lot of shit. And there's other versions of special water, like sanitized water. It's actually best described by a post I saw yesterday. Sanitized water is water that you've boiled. Purified water is water that's distilled. It has absolutely nothing in it. This has been boiled down so that it's at least drinkable and it won't give you a disease. You still get some rats from drinking it, though. So yeah, food and drink are literally, you know, required to survive in survival. Chems, there's lots and lots of new chems, lots of things to help you versus the many diseases that are in the game. Unlike Fallout 4's base survival, antibiotics are only used to cure infection, wherein other things like the loaded B1 shot will cure weakness and lethargy, poisoned antidote stops poison, Skeeto tonic removes parasites. Adrenaline injectors are your basic stim packs now because there are no stim packs anymore. So now that we've talked about food, we're going to talk about the actual healing of the game. There is no there are combat stim packs, not actual stim packs, by the way. Combat. These can be used in combat because first aid kits, bandages, medicated bandages, trauma kits, all these different things used to heal. As you can see here, heals wounds over time, restores limb damage slightly over time, heals wounds over time a little bit faster, heals wounds over time a little bit faster. Then there's the Ultra Combat Stim Pack, but I don't have a necessary medical skill to make those. Adrenaline injectors. You need Brahmin meat to make those. Then, of course, your remedies, like I was talking about before, like antibiotics, basic, only cure infection. Then there's like antibiotics cure or advanced Cure X, which cures everything, but you need really high medical skills to make that. But yeah, so just like in regular survival mode, when you take a chem or when you take a stim pack or anything like that, it's going to have positive and negative effects. Like if I was to do a rad off, which I won't do right now because I actually visited a doctor, this will remove radiation from you, but it fatigues you. It makes you tired. And it makes sure you're immunocompromised for 5 minutes, which means you're more likely to actually get sick. It sucks. You know, that's a huge hit. Like, seriously, huge hit. You don't want that. So that's why doctors have now become super important when you got bad diseases or you've got addictions or you've got a ton of radiation. What you do is you go visit a doctor. You pay the few caps and you get that shit removed instead of actually, you know, screwing yourself over. Now, from healing, the basis of healing, like I said, these are just basic introductions to the system. I'm not going to go super in deep with this, but I will break down at least something on every, you know, example. We'll talk about this in the end. That's probably one of the most important things in the mod. Moving on from there, we have magazines. Now, as you see, this is not a magazine, it's a book. It actually pulls up a little thing like this one right here, pulls up a page, insight and providing leadership. Then, of course, you have your actual magazines. Okay, now, in this mod, for the most part, other than a few locations, magazines are random. You'll actually find an unopened U.S. postal bag, and you open it, and it gives you either a magazine or a book. The reason there's books is because the mod author Z has actually added a lot new books and things of that nature to the actual game, including the base magazines. So you can actually get many of these magazines from a trader named Crazy Eddie. Here, I'll buy a couple of them just to show you. But yeah, you get the literature packages. You find them actually in the world where you would normally find a magazine. Now, as you see, I actually just unlocked one I didn't have. It's a survival guide for new decorations. I'm not really sure what they are, but hey, whatever. And then this one here, I got a book that I already have. If you have it, it won't pop up that thing in front of it, the pop-up screen. If you don't have it, you'll see that pop up. What you can do with all these is you can obviously store them, put them on shelves, or you use the mailbox in this game. The mailbox is fantastic. And you get messages from people. Like you see here, I got an ultra radaway from the Brotherhood of Steel for killing some super mutants. Let's see what else we got in the mail. And I've received a vendor contract. Those are super important. We'll actually get to that towards the end. Actually, after the resource station, we'll talk about that. So you go to the mailbox and you can get stuff from different people. But what you do with the magazines is you open the outgoing page and you put all these magazines in the outgoing page. And what Crazy Eddie will do is, you see here, every magazine that's in there, when the mail goes out every 24 hours, he'll give you 5 pre-war money. It's not super great, but you know what it is you could literally turn magazines into pre-war money and then turn around and use all that pre-war money to buy more magazines. It's kind of, it definitely has its uses. All right, so yeah, I mean, the magazines are definitely there. Now, crafting stations are pretty much the same as they were, but they've added quite a few new things to it. Now, we're just talking about crafting, so don't worry about architect for now. If we go over to the crafting benches, this is from the backpack mod I'm using, but then there's stuff called the tech lab, one of your new benches that's super important, the weapon lab, one of your new benches. This is just a new form of a chemistry station. It's a little bit smaller. A cooking station, a little bit smaller. This one we're actually gonna talk about a little bit because I'm still very unknowing about that. There's different varieties of stations. There's still the base varieties too, as you can see: weapons workbench, armor workbench, power armor station. These don't have the ridiculous requirements anymore to utilize them. You just need local leader 1 in order to make them. So let's go ahead. As you see, chemistry station you saw before, like it still treats it like a chemistry station in the base game. You still make different things: fireworks, chems, syringer ammo, ingredients for different things you can utilize in the mod. Certain weapons you can build here, like the repeater and the XM 2010, crossbow ammo for the crossbow mod, remedies, and healing. So your chemistry station, other than adding a few things, really hasn't changed much. These are special stations you'll actually find in Architect. We'll talk about that towards the end. The cooking station is actually where you get most of the things you need in order for surviving. You know, different types of water, different types of food, basic meals. So this is kind of like your stereotypical food. As you see, Grilled Rad Stag here doesn't give you carry weight. Hearty soup, it's actually, you know, different things to make, you know, different stuff. Contracted work is interesting. You have one of these on almost every bench. As you see, it requires a portion of the ingredients to make the item, not the full quantity, but it also requires bottle caps, which means you're paying someone to make it for you. When you start getting meat from animals, you can either cook it as is. So, like if I wanted to make mutant hound chops, I could make mutant hound chops, or I can grind those mutant hound meat into ground meat. So each one of mutant hound meat gives me 4 ground animal meat. The same goes for exotic meats. When you kill bugs and mirelurks and stuff like that, you can even grind pre-war stuff into meat, which is good. And then, of course, there's tools, military kits for certain things. We'll kind of touch on that. You can fish now. There's actually a fishing system. It's real simple. It's not animated or anything, but it works. It works. I'll actually make one of those so I can show that.
Handy.
Now, the weapons lab. We don't need weapons workbench or armor workbench because I'm pretty sure everybody that's played Fallout knows about that. But the weapons lab, you can craft ammo. This is special ballistic ammo, you know, armor piercing rounds, cryogenic rounds, you know, different types, based of course on your skill. Like you need ballistics and chemistry to do certain things, making bombs, making projectiles, so bolts, bombs. You can disassemble ammo that you don't use to turn it into its base components, which is very useful. There's special guns that the mod author Z has created. Like you saw, I said I made the grenade launcher. Well, there's where it's at. Then there's the pipe launcher, which is, I think I'm using the pipe launcher. Whatever. We'll make the grenade launcher.
Trying to kill us,
you can make different mines too. I can make almost all of them
works
thanks to the fact that I have the skills for them. And like I said, my character is actually a grenadier, so that's mainly why. Oh yeah, he's using the grenade launcher. Okay, so, and then of course you've got your tech lab where you do different things. You can upgrade your workshop. This is stupid important. We could actually do a whole episode talking about workshop upgrades, and I might in the future. But this is mainly just for the simple fact of showing what you would need to do. You need to keep an eye on workshop level upgrades. This stuff's really important. You can also keep an eye on Cargobot Chips.
Not if I have my
See
thing.
here, they have some high skill requirements. Like this one right here, I have the skill requirement, but you need a Cargobot, you need a lot of nuclear material, you need gold, and you need advanced circuitry and a stealth boy. What these do is they actually increase your carry weight. And also one thing they do is they increase like specialty vendors and things like that. You've got some other things like, remember I said attack dog? Well, if I had the circuitry, I could actually make an attack dog. It's just a one-use item. Brings in a random dog. It's pretty cool. Animal companion. Well, the animal companion will come out and hang out. Yeah, it's just oh, okay, it's just a diving tank. Okay, so it lets you breathe underwater. Yeah, like there's even devices for quick saving. So if you don't like the generic saving of survival where you have to sleep, you can actually make devices that are one-time use, and then if you have the higher skills, you can make a device that's, you know, permanent use. They do have a negative effect, I believe. I'm not sure it's too... Hey, that's interesting. That cell broke. But yeah, like it's whatever. Okay, so now that we've talked about benches, let's talk real quick about fast travel, and then we're gonna really hit this station. Fast travel is done through the Caravan Travel Radio or the Caravan Travel Station, and the reason I actually made those supplies is I wanted to show you. You have Caravan Supplies. I have 82 out of 150 right now. That number is based on how many settlements you have. So if you have one settlement, I think it's 10. If you have 10 settlements, it's 100. I have 15, so it's 150. You can add a supply kit, which adds 30 supplies to it. You can pay caps, which adds 30 supplies, or you can use vendor credit. I would never recommend using vendor credit. What you can do now that you have supplies is you can fast travel to any of your settlements. Now, I'm just going to do this just to show it off, but I'm fast traveling from Home Plate, which is in Diamond City, to Sanctuary Hills, and I think it's going to cost me 6 to 8 supplies. The cost of fast travel is based on the distance. So if I was to fast travel from Sanctuary Hills to Red Rocket, for example, it would only cost me 1. I think if I travel from Sanctuary Hills to the Movieplex, I can't remember its name, but I can tell you. Yeah, if I was to travel from here to here, Starlight Drive-In, that would cost me 2 to 3. So it's based off of location. This one cost me, I didn't see the notification, but yeah. It was, also, one of the things you have to do as well is when you visit new settlements, is when new people, like, it will show up. Like,
man, you're unstoppable.
I took care of those super mutants.
I didn't even realize
the settlers were relieved to not have them to worry about anymore.
Thank God. Super mutants.
I hate
right.
Preston Garvey so much.
Here's what.
But yeah, like,
If you ain't been up to see Grey Garden, you should go.
we'll talk about shops. Don't worry about that. Shops are pretty much the same minus one thing. Crops we're going to talk about. Crops are definitely different. You can still do the same crops. Yes.
Hard work.
That's what I named her.
Changes.
I don't like her. I really don't like her. I also grew up in Europe, so the word is different, but whatever. So that's fast travel. It's pretty simple. Now, once you get that, you won't have that early on in the game. I'll tell you that right now. Fast travel is not something you get early in the game. This is actually more of a basic setup because this is where my first camp was. See, I have a tech lab here. I have a weapons lab. I've got my 2 stations. I got a weapons workbench, my backpack workbench. This is the Z1 terminal. This is my resource station. It's real small. And this is my command table. We're going to get into that too. But the resource station is kind of your most important tool because it does different things. Like you see, I have a master workbench set at home plate, which means that anything I drop in any workbench, I can actually say transfer everything to my master workbench, which will literally take everything across the wasteland and transfer it all to that one workbench. You also have personal storages. Basically, these are just banks that no one else can access but you, which is kind of cool. I've stored different things in there. I haven't looked in this in a really long time. That's actually super valuable. You know, different stuff. Like each one has, I know I was using one to actually store, using the second one to store things that I was going to sell. Then yes, if you have weapons you don't want your settlers getting their hands on, you can put them in here. They can't access these. Production storage is used for things you create. So as you create stuff like crops or different things like compost, stuff like that, it's going to end up in production storage. It's like I can go into my compost bin where I have a few things right now, and what that's going to do, that's actually this little farming bench over here. These are making compost, and you put, you know, diseased meat or pre-war foods in there, and it actually makes compost, which you then turn that compost into extra crops. Like I said, you can do a supply line. You can actually, without having local leader, you can create one supply line for free at each one of these stations. So technically you wouldn't need to get local leader, but I would highly recommend getting a local leader one just so you can build the benches. But yeah, you can set up a supply line on each one of these things, which is cool. Like I said, the master workbench, mine is home plate, production destination, where it sends all your production storage. Like you can change it so that it sends it to a specific settlement. Cargo destination for Wilson. Wilson is your special bot. Normally he just have him set to production storage. He'll shove it in there unless you don't like it getting, you know, like there's a really good documentation menu for this stuff. If you're ever curious, he's built a really good documentation menu. But this is going to be your most important workbench. This is the first one you want to build, and this is the one you want to basically learn to utilize everything. Now, moving on from that, we're going to talk real quick about vendor contracts. In order to build vendors now, it's not just like before where you had to have 2 points in the local leader perk. You go to your stores. Now you have your stores, obviously. As you see, you only need rank 1 leadership and rank 1 trading, which you can actually get both of those from magazines. You don't even actually have to put points in perks to make those. And that applies to all benches. See, like trading stand 3, it's still the same. It's 10 and 10, which is literally all you need is just 1 magazine to make those. The same applies. This one is 10 and 20. Okay, think weapons is a little higher. Yeah, nope, weapons is 10 and 20. I think the only one that, nope, it's not even the clinic. But if you look at all these, you can see that there's an item in the list that says vendor contract. What the vendor contract is, it's a new item added to Horizon. You can't make vendors unless you actually have a contract. Now I have a couple here, but I don't have anyone manning this one, and it's night, so no one would be at the vendor anyway. My general goods store in here, where I've got a person, but yeah, like I said, it's night. So these are they're pretty much no different than these basic trader stations. The only difference is they come from the architect menu, and they give you a little bit more variety. Like you can get a full bar, a full medical center, a weapon surplus, you know, different things. These are smaller versions of them, as you can see. They're weird. The reason they look weird and floating is because you can actually get the vendor counters. So like if you just wanted to build one long row of vendors, you could totally build this counter and then just stack a bunch of those vendor icons, these right here, just all along it, as long as you have the contracts. And then of course, you know, those are different scenario, but yeah, the vendor stuff that you have, as you can see, like these are all how you get happiness in your settlement nowadays. It's quite easily, it's just to add different stuffs. These are really good. They require vendor contracts as well, but what they are is a non-manned item. See, it adds a bonus to my income rating. I actually put one right here just for the hell of it. It adds a bonus to your income rating. It also adds a bonus happiness. So that's why my happiness is at 100, because I keep my settlers pretty happy with just the stuff you get from Horizon. It's not that difficult. I don't know enough about this stuff to really talk about it, but you can build houses that people will actually come in and lease out. But this one requires a much higher rank, so you see Trading 4 and Workshop Construction 3 in order to build one, and a bunch of vendor credit. What it does is actually, this is just a building. I actually have one right there. They require quite a bit of power, but you'll get residents, and what the residents do is they literally pay you rent. It's pretty good. One of my favorite things of Horizon is this. It's Powerless Lights. You can actually get lights that don't require power conduits or wires for indoor, outdoor, different things like that. Now, before we talk about the command table, let's talk about production. As you start to produce things, like this is probably one of the most important things right here. See, I don't know why his requires 8. Mine only requires 1. That's weird. I could have swore I'm on, what's it called? On Desolation, but maybe not. Yeah, there's 3 different modes to Horizon, and actually he recommends you install Desolation because it adds an extra layer of difficulty to survival. But these things create purified water. So you can build 1,000 water purifiers, and guess what? I built 5 of these that all produce 10, so that's 50 water right there, and then there's some groundwater purifiers and stuff like that over here. But you have to build a water purification unit that requires 10 power and requires at least 10 water for each one to create 1 purified water per day, plus some other materials too. So it even requires other materials in order to get those, which I'm actually almost out of. But that's a whole different story. Like you build refineries and extractors and all this other shit. All this stuff's like super important to Horizon. This is construction. Like I said, to get your construction level up, you actually make construction sites. Like this is an actual robot construction site, which gives you +1 to construction level. This is a sewage unit, which actually produces a ton of happiness. Can you imagine how that would smell? Ooh. That's an apartment building. I was just playing around, just different things. But yeah, like you have settlers doing different things for you, and that is where these benches come into account. These are the basically the jobs for your settlers. Now I have a few in here. You can see there's a repair station, a rifleman. There's some beds. I've got a few scattered around, but yeah, the job stations. Like there's even a job station I've hid back here for the janitor, which I don't have one right now because last I put Codsworth on it, but he wouldn't stay on it. There's the engineer job. So you basically get your settlers and you put them on jobs. Now, early in the game, you're probably not going to be doing much of that because your settlers are going to be growing crops. But one of the things that this mode introduces is the row of crops. So what this is it takes 6 crops. So like if I put this down, here, let's just put it down. If I put this down, this creates 6, or technically it's what, 5 stalks of corn? Yeah, it's 5 stalks of corn all stacked really tight together. You cannot loot it as a player. Only your settlers can loot it. Now, what that crop does, though, is it creates 12 food. So it may be 6 corn, but it creates 12 food, but can only be harvested by settlers. So basically, if you have one of these and you have 10 settlers, and you have one, and it only takes one person to do this because one person can actually work on 6 crops. They'll produce 12 food, then the settlers will eat 10 of it, and then 2 will be left over in storage. And that goes for all of these. Like I can make 35 of these tato plant, or these moot fruit plants. 40 of these tato plants. The one I actually need, I can't make any of. I could make one of these, but it has to be placed in water. Actually, might as well do it. Actually, I'll do it in a different way. Because if I was to put this... I don't even know. It won't even... I don't even see it. But if I was to put this tarberry down, I would have to have someone working on it, which I don't want. What you do is, once you actually get your technology up to rank 4, you can build these bad boys. Which what these are snappable objects. So, if you'll do it. Really? You're going to make me look like a fool? He's going to make... There you go. They're snappable objects. So I can snap these together. What these are automatic farmers. So what you do is you put your crop in there and it'll automatically farm it for you as long as you have the power. It's pretty great. I don't know why it won't let me do these tarberries. Oh, I don't have the appropriate survival skill. That's fine. But yeah, these automatic feeders, like right now I'm producing 42 food and I don't have a single settler growing food. It's doing it all automatically. Really awesome. Because my settlers instead are doing things like security. They're working shops. They're doing jobs. I have a few other jobs around here. Like I said, they're spread all over, but yeah. Actually, I don't know. The weird thing is too, like, they don't need beds, but since one of the things Horizon introduces is the bunk bed, it counts as 2, but only 1 settler can sleep on it. So as you see, like, there's 3 people just standing there like idiots because they can't technically climb up top because there's no animation for it, but it does count as 2 beds. So as far as happiness is concerned, you know, they technically are sleeping. You can even make beds in Horizon that are personal. I actually have a personal bed. This was my original bedroom, you know, the junk jet, some other crap, but then of course this bed can only be used by me, which is cool. Then I have, of course, more legendary, or not legendary, but special weapons. M1 Garand, Shish Kebab, a Mosin Nagant, the animal shit house. Always Sunny in Philadelphia joke. But anyway, so moving on from the vendor contracts and crops to, I'm going to do a very, very basic tutorial of the command table. I'm not going to break this down, like, because this would take hours. This is another one we could talk about for hours. But the command table actually lets you command your settlements from one location. We have 3 successful settlements. I don't know what that means. I don't know what any of this stuff means. I have 3 out of 6 tenants, which means I don't have a full roster of tenants yet. But one thing you do here is you do the command missions. See what I was talking about? I've got all these things built for different command missions. You can actually send your settlers out on missions. The best way to describe this is if you've ever played World of Warcraft from Warlords of Draenor on up, where you get random followers that do missions for you. That's exactly what this is. You get those people, and then what they can do is they can do missions for you. So I can click deploy settlers on missions. It takes me to the mission menu showing I have so many supply kits, I have 0 military kits, I have so many tools, and I have so many vendor credits. We'll actually fix that real quick with the military kits. You create the items you need. So I need military kits. So what I do is I go to here and I make some military kits. I made 6 of them. And then I go to my command missions. The crow's actually part of the mod. It's actually pretty cool. It just showed up there the other day. You go to deploy settlers on missions. And the easiest way to do this. Yes, I have way too many technicians. I can only have 6, but I have 13. Who cares? I can only have 2 hunters, but I have 7. Who cares? It's like I just build more because it might as well. Then you just click. I click on the deploy all possible because what it will do is it will see how many it can start and it will start them. And it just started a bunch of militia missions. Once missions are done, you can actually go to. Oh God, where is it? Okay, I don't see it, but. When missions are completed, there'll actually be an option that says, you know, you can debrief. But they also can get you stuff. Look at all this stuff. This is all stuff that my settlers found and brought back. Weapons, random stuff, clothing, junk items, ton of junk items, legendary junk items. Wild seeds are actually extremely rare. A plasma grenade. Technically, all special grenades are considered legendary. A bunch of vendor credits. That's pretty good because those give me a ton of smokeless powder, which is in order to make ammo, you need smokeless powder. But yeah, you take all this crap. You know, they did a pretty good job. You store all that stuff in your storage. Like as you see, I have really nothing in here because it's all going to get sent back to my other place, which is fine. But yeah, that's the very basic of this thing. There's a lot that can also be done here, like your settlement statistics and total settlement statistics and all this stuff. I haven't really broken into that. Okay, now I have 20 workshops, so maybe it's 5 per. But you can see like my total population, I have 224 settlers. I've got 800 defense. You know, all the different things like only 4 construction depots. It shows you all that stuff. Now the training desk, I have one upstairs. Training desk doesn't unlock till level 15. It's not really that important until you reach level 15 and then of course level 30. What it does is the training desk allows you to pick a specialization. All the specializations are based in the perk chart. So for example, Gunslinger 3, Duelist specialization, Trooper, which is the Rifleman 3, is the Ranger specialization. The Future Soldier 3 is the Cyborg specialization. Then there's the Sniper specialization, which the reason I haven't put any points in it is because I don't even have it unlocked yet. So I just said screw it with this one because it gave me the Demolition specialization. You can change them, but it costs money. See, 1,000 caps, and then you unlock a second one at level 30. Simple. There's a big pop-up that shows up at level 15 to tell you about that. We already kind of talked about the tech lab. You know, it's a super important bench. The main thing, of course, is getting your robot chips, the tech lab, getting your level upgrades, and of course, when you can, getting your Cargobot chips. If you need carrying capacity and you don't like running backpack mods, that's going to do it. Okay, so the Z01 or ZX1 experimentation lab. What this is really not going to work that well here. So what I'll probably do is I'll fast travel back to home plate because it works best when you're at your master workbench. So we'll go back to home plate. What it is you can learn how to craft the weapons of the wasteland. So as you get a weapon and you either scrap it or you save it or you sell it. If you scrap it and save it, or scrap it or save it, you can go to the ZX1 experimentation lab and you can reverse engineer those weapons. Like I said, this works best when you're at your main workbench because it takes a while to calculate all this stuff. I probably won't have anything right now, but you see I have 53 unlocks. It says new unlocks found is 0. Always click it. Because I've noticed, while not just me playing, but other people that I've watched playing, it'll actually show 0, but they'll end up getting experience because every time you reverse engineer a weapon, it actually gives you XP. Then once you've actually discovered said weapons, you can go through, and as you see, I've got an Institute Gauss rifle, a repeating bolter, a bolt action rifle, hunting rifle, revolver, all these different weapons, and there's still a lot to get. Like, seriously, there's a lot to get. I've barely scratched the surface. You know, laser musket. It's amazing. I haven't gotten a laser weapon yet, but it's just what it is. You know, there's all these different ballistic weapons. Like if I wanted to make a deliverer, I would need 14 pistol weapon parts, which you get by breaking down pistols. You would need adhesive and you would need screws. So I'll say I'll select this weapon. Then you can actually make the legendary modifications for strike, acid damage, jagged damage, radioactive, charged, chilled chamber for energy damage, heated chamber, blah, blah, blah. All of these different things. So let's do rapid frame. In order to do rapid frame 5%, we would need 6 aluminum. To do it upgrade 1, we would need 7 springs and a ballistic skill of 60. Upgrade 2, we would need magnesium zinc, which I have 9 of. And you need a ballistic skill of 90. And then, of course, upgrade 3 is cobalt, chromium, and ballistics of 140. I don't think I can do that one, but I can do this one. And then, of course, choose the type of alloy you wish to work with. So let's go ahead and do titanium. Why not? We'll make this an amazing pistol. Screw it. And this right here is the one part I don't understand that well. Okay. You have material titanium alloy, quality 0, 0% base weapon damage. This is where you basically can improve the weapon based on the components you have. As you see, I have grade 7 high. I have 6, and that removes 10 points. So let's go ahead and add that. Now it's a 1%. Grade 9, it's now a 2%. I mean, I'll just do all the grade 9s until it's turned out. But you see, it's taking off these points every time I add one. But it's increasing its percent every time I add one too. And obviously, the lower you have, the more points it eats up. I'm getting 1 point, but it's taking up 25 of my points. Like I said, this is probably going to be the best pistol I have. It's okay. This is not my main game I've been using to play on YouTube. This is actually a character that I was playing around with. Now, these are all rare materials that I'm burning through. I don't have enough experimentation points to do another one, so it's fine. Now, as you see, you can improve different things. Like, okay, let's improve the recoil. I have 150 points here. Let's improve recoil control. Recoil control. This looks like it's costing 10% each. And then we'll accuracy. Well, no. Okay, there it is. And accuracy seems good. So we've got a deliverer with a rapid 15%, quality 14. Range is not so much important. On a pistol, you say build this weapon, and then it puts it in your inventory. Now, tinkering, I don't know what tinkering is because I haven't done it yet, so don't ask me. Honestly, I do not know. You need weapon tinker kits, which are made on the tech station. Now, that deliverer pistol we just made, see, it just moved 6,000 items to this workbench. So it does 19 damage. Now, it uses base ammo of the 9mm jacketed hollow points, but with the weapons, you can always change out the ammos to certain ammos in your inventory. Now, I don't have any ammo in my inventory, so it really doesn't matter. Like, seriously. But it's a pretty good pistol. It's actually not a bad pistol at all. And it's a deliverer, just like the actual base pistol is when you get from the railroad. It just doesn't have any modifications. That's the experimentation lab. Really important. So, two last things I want to talk about is Wilson and the mods. Wilson is a Cargobot. He's your best friend. I'm pretty sure it's a joke on the whole Castaway. But in order to make Wilson, you need a lot of components and mainly a stealth boy. So you want to build him at the tech station as soon as you possibly can, because Wilson does quite a few things. He's got a cargo container, which means he's carrying a bunch of crap for me. He can take all my filtered junk, which, see there, oh, there it is, all my filtered junk. Well, I'm going to take it back because I'm just going to put it on the workbench. He uses energy cells to power himself, like energy ammo from a laser weapon. So you just give him those to power himself. His cargo destination, you can tell him where to go. Like I said, I send him to my production storage. You can also do this. The transport ingredients are not that one. I'm sorry, it's not that one. Area scavenging. You can actually turn this up to like a lot. It does use more cells, but he literally will scavenge junk for you. Like he'll straight up. Okay, why does he keep doing that? He'll actually, like, as you're out in an area and you're just questing and killing ghouls or whatever, he'll pick up all the junk around you, so you don't have to worry about it. Now he can only be summoned once every 10 minutes, so you can get that down to 5. But yeah, you can't use him constantly, so he can't be always out. But he's always technically with you. It's an amazing little companion. Normally, what I do is when I get over encumbered in the field, and it will happen even with 900 weight, because this is survival mode where weapons actually have more realistic weights. Like, for example, this Caravan Shotgun weighs 13 pounds, and shotgun shells are one of the heaviest weights. At 0.3 of a pound each. And all that ammo I carry can definitely stack up. You can use power armor. I don't use power armor because my backpack mod and also pocket gear is not compatible. So that's my biggest issue, is like when you get into power armor, my weight capacity is actually lower than it is normally. One thing you can do though is you can lock your frames. It's great. So you don't have to worry about settlers taking me. Yeah, you could take the fusion core out, but they could pull a fusion core out of your bench if one's in there. But with this mod, you can lock the frame. Now, if you leave the area of the paint job, we'll go back to that standard gray, but this way, they can't mess with your power armor. Now, there are a good selection of mods that are available to run with Horizon. I would say most weapon mods are available. One of the main things he actually said is any mod that has a severe amount of scripting won't be compatible. Like, believe it or not, the Pip Boy Flashlight Mod actually has a lot of scripting because it creates it creates shadows, it creates an actual physical flashlight in front of you instead of globe of light. Now, but what's funny is it's just using the asset from the power armor helmet or the mining helmet, but still, it's just what it is. I love that mod, can't use it. It's not compatible. The main thing he actually put out in his introduction and how to install is that you actually need to make sure that Horizon is loading at the bottom of your load order. It needs to be the last thing loaded. That way nothing is superseding it. Because like originally my home base wasn't working. Turns out I had Pip Boy Flashlights installed, which was loading at the bottom. So it wouldn't actually end up loading it wouldn't load home plate here like this. So, but yeah, there's quite a few. If you're ever curious, just install mods 1 or 2 at a time and test it to see if it's compatible. Now, hopefully, I mean, that's an hour-long video. Hopefully my ramblings here have helped someone out there understand a little bit more about Horizon. I know I needed the help when I first started playing, and as I discover more, I'll probably do deep dives on each station so that we can truly understand things. Like I said, I don't know enough about the ZX1 station other than crafting. I don't know a lot about the training desk. I don't know a lot about the command table. I'm still learning stuff about the resource station every day. So we'll probably do deep dives on all of those. All right. So thank you guys all so very much for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully I helped someone because I know I needed the help myself. So I look forward to see you guys in my future videos of Fallout 4 Horizon.